It's actually better than the coffee that was really bad.
Is George online?
Oh, Mike will be joining the board call, but they are still in cabinet meeting.
Oh, you guys don't want to sit outside?
Oh, sure, Essa. Of course we will.
Okay, so are you ready?
I'm trying to look if we have a quorum.
Yeah, I think does I see there's Mel, Craig, Gary, Carol, Rona, and myself. I don't see George or Mike.
On to you, Essa.
He registered.
Yeah.
Mike.
Oh no, George.
No, he responded he will try.
Okay, so we have quorum, huh?
Mike?
Yep.
Mike will be joining, I think, once cabinet, he's done with cabinet.
Mike would be joining later. Okay, why don't we call the meeting to order then? So I just announce out who's online right now as far as the directors. Looks like in attendance today is Mel, Craig, Rona, Carol, Gary, and myself. I don't see anyone else online. If anyone else is out there that I've missed, please let me know. If not, rolling through the agenda, let's the minutes for the annual meeting, the regular meeting, and the executive sessions were sent. Just wanted to see if everybody had a chance or if anybody has any adjustments or corrections. Hey Sandy, do I need to take them individually or can I take them all at one time?
I suggest you take it individually, Chair.
Oh, one at a time. Okay. So 2A, the annual meeting of July 9th, 2020. If there's no additions and or deletions, can I get a motion to approve?
Chair, I make a motion.
Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second by Carol.
Thanks, Carol. If there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, item 2B, the regular meeting minutes for July 9th, 2020. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. So item 2C, the executive session minutes, those are also circulated too. So if there is any discussion, I will go back into executive session. If not, we can approve it here. So can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Approve.
I second.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Gary. Any discussion on the executive session minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, so there was a request to take item 3D out of order. So at this time, I'm gonna um, move up in the agenda item 3D. It is to approve a budget from the dwelling unit revolving fund for the joint development of Oka Well with the Natural Energy Lab of Hawaii Authority for the Kamakana Villages in Keauhou project located in Keauhou, North Kona, and other projects approved by the Executive Director, TMK 375001165, 374021, 020, 024, 028 to 041, and 044 to 049. Can I get a motion?
I'm motion.
Thanks, Mel. Second?
Seconded, Gary.
Okay,
Thanks, Gary.
sorry, Don,
Yeah?
we lost a quorum.
Oh, I did? Who dropped off?
Our,
Carol, she lost power.
Oh, no. Okay.
trying to reach, to join
Or-
us, no, but
Five. No, well, we still have five, I think, right? Rona, me, Mel, Craig, and Gary.
Well,
is Craig there? Craig is in a cabinet meeting.
Oh.
Mike.
Oh, okay. Well, see him logged in.
Yeah, I think the administration is still in their cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Maybe logged in, but not.
not present.
Oh, okay. So what do we do? I mean, do we need to wait until Carol
Oh,
can
there's Carol.
Yeah, we'll need to wait. Can she try, is she trying to get? That's-
Hi, Carol. Oh, there she is.
Did she connect back up? I see her popping back up.
Yeah,
Carol?
this is,
Where is she?
okay.
Hi, Carol, are you
Hi.
back?
I just joined in again. Sorry, we lost power.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. No. So let me. We have quorum again, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess. So we have a motion and a second for item 3D.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kamakana Villages is HHFDC's master plan project in Keauhou, North Kona, Hawaii. Kamakana Villages is master plan for 2 well sources as shown on the attached exhibit A1 to the 4 actions. Keauhou well 4 has been drilled and tested, and the final EA for the production well was published in July 2015. A water agreement with the Department of Water Supply was executed in 2011, but this agreement has lapsed. In 2011, HHFDC's then master developer, Forest City, subdivided, acquired, and placed in escrow a 2.3 acre property for a second well called the Ota well. Nelha is administratively attached to DBED and administers the Hawaii Ocean Science and Technology Park near the Keauhou Airport on the Big Island of Hawaii. Nelha needs to develop a well to address its deficiency with DWS. So on March 10, 2016, the board approved an MOU with Nelha for the joint development of Ota well for Nelha and HHFDC projects as follows. HHFDC and Forest City would contribute the well site, and Nelha would provide the project management services for the planning, design, development, and dedication of Ota well to the county. Nelha had 2.5 million in CIP funds, so Nelha would procure a consultant for the planning, development, and testing of an exploratory well for the first phase of the project. The cost contribution and water allocation are presumed to be shared equally, but if one party could not contribute its share of cost, the other party could contribute the deficiency, and a prorated share of the available water would be allocated between the party. On June 29, 2016, HHFDC executed an MOU with NELHA for the joint development and dedication of Ottawa to GWS. And NELHA also signed a design build contract with Water Resources International, Inc. for the planning, development, and testing of an exploratory well at Ottawa for $2.5 million. In November 23, 2018, NELHA's contractor completed a final EA for the following at the Ottawa site: an exploratory well, 2 wells with a 700 gallons per minute pump in each well, 2 1 million gallon reservoirs, and 1,300 linear feet of transmission line to connect the wells to the GWS water system. The total cost for Ottawa well is estimated to be approximately $19 million. On October 18, 2018, NELHA's contractor submitted an application with the Commission on Water Resource Management for a permit for an exploratory well at Ottawa. On December 20th, 2018, the National Park Service submitted a comment letter requesting that the application be referred to the full commission for decision-making, and NPS reserved the right to request a contested case hearing unless a condition is imposed that no withdrawals of groundwater can be made under the permit until a plan is approved by CWRM to reduce the amount of groundwater that has been permitted for withdrawal in the area Mauka of the park. On December 20th, 2018, DHHL also submitted a comment letter requesting that the permit be conditioned upon allocating 18,077 gallons per day from Ottawa or that the application be referred to the full commission for decision making. HHFDC and NELHA are agreeable allocating 18,077 gallons per day to the HHL from their share of available water from Ottawa, and an MOU with HHL is pending for a future board action. On June 16, 2020, NELHA indicated that due to delays, its contractor for the exploratory well was requesting for a price increase to extend its contract for 2 years, and inquired whether HHFDC could fund the increase pursuant to the MOU with HHFDC. On July 14, 2020, HHFDC received NELHA's contractor's price increase for a 2-year extension in the amount of $221,319, which is 9.7% of the remaining balance of NELHA's contract with its contractor. This is consistent with DBED's construction cost index for Honolulu high-rise and single-family residences for the applicable period. Therefore, HHFDC concurs with NELHA's assessment that the price increase is reasonable. Based upon NELHA's extension requests, CWRM's current deadline for processing the application is September 11, 2020. On July 20, 2020, NELHA requested that CWRM proceed with the application for a permit for an exploratory well at Ottawa. This for action seeks approval of a budget of $221,319 from their funds for the joint development of Ota Well pursuant to HHFDC's MOU with Nelha for Kamakana Villages and other projects as approved by the Executive Director, substantially as described in this 4-action, subject to the following: availability of their funds and approval and release of funds by the Governor. Greg Barber, Executive Director of NELHA, has joined us, and we are available for questions.
All right, thanks. Does anyone have any questions for either Stan or hey, Greg from Nelha? Anybody? No, I just had one question. So I don't know. I guess this is to explore. Is that like the final piece that we need to complete this? Is the water?
Exploratory well is the first phase. The first phase is going to determine whether there's enough water and the quality of water to determine whether they're going to the next phase, which is to actually develop the well, put in the pumps, put in a control building, put in the reservoirs and so forth. So this is just going to determine whether the well is a production well. It has enough quantity and quality to satisfy the well as being a well source.
Okay, thanks. I guess if there's no discussion, all in favor?
Chair Mandy, would we want to hear from Greg? Greg, are you there?
Greg, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't have anything to add. I thought that Stan's summary was excellent, and just want to again thank HHFDC for partnering on this important project. I think it's a great partnership. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Greg. Anything else? I guess if there's nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. Motion carried. Okay, let's move to item 3A to approve resolution number 144, which amends resolution number 135 by increasing the intended issuance amount of the revenue bonds, and 2, a request from the developer to increase the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Kaiaulu o Pupuoi project located in Lahaina, Maui, TMK 245010047.
Motion.
Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carl. All right.
The subject for action requests an increase to the project's pre-existing HMMF bond and 4% LIHTC awards. The project is a proposed 89-unit affordable rental facility targeted for families in Lahaina, Maui. Specifically, it will target 60%, 40%, and 30% AMGI households. The improvements shall consist of one 4-story mid-rise residential structure built over a 1-story parking podium with liner units. On December 12th, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an intended tax-exempt issuance amount of $27,346,140 from the HMMF bond program, and up to $1,961,000 in annual federal 4% tax credits for 10 years, and $1,961,000 in annual state 4% tax credits for 5 years. There was also a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $17,133,000 approximately. The project has commenced bond closing calls on May 29th of this year, with anticipated closing sometime around the fourth quarter of this year. The primary outstanding long lead time items are building permits and the DCAP final review letter. On June 16th, 2020, the project submitted a request for an increase in the intended tax-exempt issuance from the HMMF bond program to up to $35,876,790 from the $27 million, and an increase in the 4% tax credit program to $2,475,963 from both the federal and state tax credits. The federal credit will be over 10 years. The state credit will be over 4 years. If you look at Exhibit C, there will be a table summarizing the changes in the project sources and uses. The bond increase and the tax credit increase will help cover a $15.8 million or 31% increase in the project's budget. The project increases are highlighted by the following. There's an $8.7 million increase in construction costs, primarily due to building plan changes dictated by the permitting department and DCAB, as well as some construction cost inflation. The plan changes are attributed to additional site work identified by the other two agencies, as well as new retaining walls and work related to the podium structure of the project. There was also a $3.5 million increase in contingency to support, the contingency supports the increase in the construction costs, as well as they added in some potential labor cost uncertainties related to COVID-19. That is kind of related to restricting the labor force basically on the island of Maui. I guess what they're concerned on the COVID, as far as labor costs are concerned, is there is kind of high construction activity in Maui right now, especially related to some of the other affordable housing projects that we have. And their concern is with COVID-19 and the travel restrictions that are in place, it kind of limits their ability to pull additional labor from either the mainland or from the neighbor islands, especially from Oahu. So they added in some additional contingency related to that. There was an increase of about $2.8 million related to the financing costs prompted by a County of Maui traffic mitigation fee that was triggered by the additional Maui AHP funding that they will be getting, and additional carrying costs owed to the property seller. And then there was also a $780,000 increase with regards to interim costs, primarily related to the additional architect and engineering fees that needed to be incurred related to the changes dictated by the permitting department and DCAB. In addition to the bond and 4% resources, the project obtained some other financing to help absorb the cost increase. There is a $3.4 million increase in the Maui County AHF loan amount. Part of that increase was mitigated by the traffic mitigation fee that got triggered because of the increase in the AHF loan amount. So that the traffic mitigation fee amounted to about $1.78 million. There was a new $2 million related party loan from Ikaika Ohana, and there was a $1.4 million increase in the deferred developer fee to help cover the costs. Staff basically recommends approval of the project requests for additional bonds and credits as the project continues to exhibit satisfactory debt service coverage on the higher debt load. The eligible basis and layering analysis indicates that the project can qualify for the increased amount of 4% credits, and the projected repayment on the RHRF loan remains acceptable. I'm available for questions, and I think we have Mr. Tom Fisher from the project as well.
Great, thanks, Patrick. Does anyone have any questions?
Can I ask Tom it's Rona, to describe some of the changes to the building plans that DCAP suggested?
Well, until maybe Tom might still be on mute, but from what I understand, I think the decap changes might be related more to the site work, more so than the retaining walls and the podium structure. I'm not sure if that was for access and stuff like that, but hopefully maybe Tom could elaborate as far as what specifically the decap stuff was.
Yes, thanks, Patrick. I was on mute. So you're right on topic. This site is kind of an unusual site and from a path of travel standpoint. So we always with our developments pay a lot of attention to path of travel. And as you said, the structure is going to have a podium, with parking underneath the podium, elevators, and as we got into it, it was just more and more, I think, correctly picked up on changes we needed to make.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair, this is Gary. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Gary.
And I believe this is for Thomas also. So, we're looking at a request for 8.6 million of construction cost increases, which if you were to, I realize much of it is for site work, and if you were to look at it on a per unit basis, it's about, that alone is about $97,000 per unit. And I'm just wondering out loud and asking the question, how do you miss that much work in the initial design and estimating of the project? So that's substantial in my mind. And these are things that came through permitting and DCAB reviews. So I'm just asking the question, how did the development team miss $97,000 per unit of construction costs?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things come to mind. One is, we submitted for this deal, I believe that Patrick was back in like April of 2019. And we went through a period of time where we didn't really get the project sort of allocated. So we have two things at play. One is we are looking into various improvements that were required, but during that period of time, costs in general on the projects in Hawaii, we've talked to Bank of Hawaii, we've talked to Patrick and I've had numerous discussions, but costs in general have been escalating during that period of time. And in addition to that, we've had with the uncertainty of the most recent times of the COVID pandemic. Patrick kind of hit on this earlier. We're seeing and hearing from different contractors. We don't know if we can travel. We won't have the resources. We're building a very similar project over on Big Island, and we thought that general contractor was actually going to be able to bid on Maui. They have since stepped out of that building. So it's really a accommodation. It's not just simply the building permit changes and the decab items. It's kind of a combination of just exactly what's happening in the market and the fact that we're kind of over a year from where we first had this priced. And by the way, we had a very reputable general contractor price this with us in the beginning. And we've since we elected not to use them. We're back out to bid now with four, we think, highly reputable firms on Maui. So we're going to do everything that we can. The second piece of this is we really just come back one time. So we are trying to make sure that we have enough resources to see the deal to its completion. So again, it's been a combination of both the DCAB, the drawings, as well as just the market in general has affected the cost increase.
Just a follow-up question. So I'm glad you're out talking to multiple contractors at this time. Is the 8.6 million, is that based on a contractor's estimate of one of those, or is it? How does that number? What's the origin of that number? How does it come about?
So we've done a couple of things that we have explored preliminarily with the contract community, and we've actually bifurcated the construction from site work. We separated from site work to vertical. We have very solid numbers on our site work now. That includes up through the podium. So that site contractor is Goodfellow Brothers. They're highly regarded in Maui. We think they're probably one of the, if not the best, certainly one of the best. They have looked at our plans. They've helped us from some value engineering perspectives. So we think that, again, the site contract, we're ready to let that one pretty quickly. The vertical contract, we're using folks that have taken a look at it. Our architect has been out to talk to several of the contractors. So we have a lot higher degree of confidence this time around just in general. Plus, we're dealing with the updated plans and specs with input from building as well as DCAB.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Any more questions from anyone? If not, if all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, moving to item 3B. Is to approve resolution number 145, which amends resolution number 127 by increasing the intended issuance amount of the revenue bonds, and 2, a request from the developer to increase the low-income housing tax credit reservation for the Halewai Olu Senior Residences project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK number 117006012.
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Harold.
Thank you. So the Halewai Olu Senior Residence is a 156 unit affordable housing project in Honolulu. It's targeted for the elderly. I want to point out one error in the rent chart where 16 units of the 2-bedroom units the rent should be $1,520 instead of $11,520. Apologize for that error. So on February 14, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved $43,550,000 intended tax-exempt bond issuance for resolution number 127. $2,940,452 in annual federal and state low-income housing credits, and a rental housing revolving fund loan up to $41,111,270. Subsequently, on February 13, 2020, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an extension to resolution number 127 to February 28, 2021. On June 26, 2020, Halewai Olu Senior Development LLC requested an increase in the intended tax-exempt issuance amount under the Kulame Multifamily Bond Program to up to $48 million from $43,550,000, and an increase in the award of annual federal 4% low-income housing tax credits to $3,047,495 from $2,940,452. As discussed earlier, the project is a 156-unit project, including one manager's unit. Improvements shall consist of one 17-story residential building consisting of 13 floors of apartments, over 4 floors, consisting of 2 floors of parking, and there will be a multi-purpose room, activity rooms, and commercial space on the first floor. And 1 floor of resident use space, which includes a recreation deck. The awardee is a single asset real estate holding company specifically established to develop, own, and operate the project. The managing member of the awardee is Halewai Olu Michaels LLC. The special member is Michaels Community Services Corporation. Halewai Olu Michaels LLC is controlled by the Michaels Development Company 1 Limited Partnership and the Michaels Organization. Both Michaels Development Corporation, Company 1 LP, and Michaels Organization have experience working on projects funded by the tax credit program, notably the Towers at Kuhio Park, Keahumoa Place Phases 1 through 4, and the Kamakana Family and Kamakana Senior projects. Michaels Community Services Corporation is a nonprofit and has participated in the Michaels Organization's tax credit projects in Hawaii. The sources for this project is summarized in the table on your for action, and the costs budget is summarized in the subsequent table. The $7,982,317 project budget increase is primarily attributable to higher construction contingency and financing and interim costs. There was a $4,080,982 increase in construction costs, prompted by the need for more substantial micropile foundations to stabilize the proposed building, hazardous materials remediation, and additional on-site and off-site utility work. There was a $352,291 increase in contingency to support the higher construction costs. $2,724,837 increase in interim and soft costs, prompted by increase in insurance costs and an increase in consulting costs due to the additional work required and monitoring, as well as safety inspections. And there's also a $628,456 increase in financing and syndication costs, primarily by the increase in the construction loan interest due to the larger principal amount carried by the project. The higher project costs are absorbed by a $1,535,587 increase in tax credit equity and a $7.9 million increase in the permanent Hulame multifamily bond amount. The project's estimated construction timeline is as follows. Building permits in September or October of 2020. Construction start is anticipated in November or December of 2020 with a projected project completion in September 2022. Staff reviewed the project's request and recommends approval of the following: increased tax-exempt issuance from the Hulame multifamily bond program of up to $48 million, increase the award of annual federal 4% tax credits over a 10-year period to $3,047,495 for both the federal and state credits. A recommendation as follows: that the Board of Directors approve the following. Resolution number 145, attached as Exhibit G, which amends Resolution number 127 by increasing the intended tax-exempt issuance for Halewai Olu Senior Residences to up to $48 million from $43,350,000. These are subject to the provisions and conditions in Exhibit D and F. All other terms and conditions of Resolution Number 127 and the intended tax-exempt issuance from the Hulame Multifamily Bond Program approved by the HHFDC Board of Directors on February 14, 2019 remain the same. Increase the annual award of federal 4% low-income housing tax credits over a 10-year period to $3,047,495 from $2,940,452, and the award of annual state 4% low-income housing credits over a 5-year period to $3,047,495 from $2,940,452. Subject to the provisions and conditions of Exhibit E and F, all of the terms and conditions of the federal and state low-income housing credit reservations approved by the HHFDC Board of Directors on February 14, 2019 remain the same. Authorize the Executive Director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. I also wanted to point out that there, in the per square foot table, the per square foot totals.
Per unit. It's like it should be per unit, like see if there's a typo and fix that.
Okay, so this is the per unit number rather than the per square foot number. I apologize for the error in the sources table in 3D.
All right. Thanks. I just want to mention too that looks like Mike and Craig logged in.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And does anyone have any questions? No? No questions for this? Then if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. Motion carried. Okay, let's move to item number 3C. Approve an extension to the Rental Housing Revolving Fund Letter of Intent for Halewai Odu Senior Residences project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 117006. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Please. Thanks, Mel. Second. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, thanks, Rona.
Thank you. This is a for action related to the previous for action as it pertains to the Halewai Odu Senior Residence. It's requesting an extension to the Rental Housing Revolving Fund Letter of Intent. Yeah, I'm gonna skip over the summary. I also want to point out the error in the 2-bedroom rents that was referenced in the previous for action. That amount for the 2-bedroom unit should be $1,520. As well as point out
$93 million.
In 3D, the budget table refers to per square foot. However, that column incorrectly reports a per unit amount. I apologize for the error.
What you need? Whatever that on the balance. You need more money?
No.
I get some scripts in my wallet.
This project summary as well as the awardee summary was presented in the previous for action. If I may, I will skip over the sections and go over to the project's estimated construction timeline, building permits, September, October 2020. Construction start date is estimated to be November to December 2020, as well as the project completion projected to be September 2022. Staff evaluated the extension request based on progress made on 3 basic milestones of site controls approval and securing financing commitments. So the project has site control through and will be through a lease with the City and County of Honolulu. The awardee is working with the City and County of Honolulu on obtaining 201H exemptions for this project. Building permit application is currently under review by the City and County of Honolulu, and the awardee is working on meeting the requirements of the National Environmental Protection Act and the National Housing Preservation Act, prompted by the use of CDBG funds by the City and County of Honolulu to purchase this site. Financing commitments, awardee continues to work with First Hawaiian Bank, American Savings Bank, and Bank of Hawaii to purchase the bonds during the construction period. And Walker and Dunlop on the sale of permanent bonds using the Freddie Mac TEL program, and Berkadia Affordable Housing Tax Credit Group on the sale of federal and state tax credits. The recommendation that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following: extend the LOI dated January 17, 2017 for the Halewai Olu Senior Residences project to February 28, 2021, subject to the requirements as set forth in the 4 action dated January 12, 2017, and authorize the Executive Director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this 4 action. And I also want to add that the recommended extension date coincides with the Hula May multi-family bond expiration date to issue bonds. And I also forgot to mention that Karen Seddon and Benjamin Edger of the developer are also available to address any questions.
Okay, thanks. Is there any questions?
Chair, this is Gary. I have a couple questions, and I think this is probably for Karen. Karen, I wanted to ask you what whether you've executed the MOA with SHPD for your National Historic Preservation Act compliance. Has that been accomplished?
Yes, thanks, Gary. Yes, it has. And so the MOA is signed, and the NEPA is probably going to get FONSI this week. So we are progressing on that particular discretionary approval process. It's been a little hit and miss with the pandemic, with everybody being in and out of the offices, but we're working to keep pushing that going. So yes, we have the MOA signed by SHPD and the county, and we're getting ready to get the FONSI this week so we can publish the NEPA. This is actually the second time we're publishing the NEPA. We did it as a courtesy for a 30-day comment period. We've got everything included in the new NEPA, and so once we get the FONSI, we'll put the NEPA up for the 15-day period.
Okay, great. When do you anticipate the 201H application going over to council for their consideration?
It's going to be tight, Gary, I have to admit, but it'll be before the end of the year. It'll be in later this fall. But our push is to keep going and get the 201H, the closing, and get the construction started by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Is there any other questions for this? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks. Okay, moving on. So item 3D we had taken earlier in the agenda. So moving to item 3E. This is to approve one, modifications to award of request for proposals number 12-003-DEV, partnering to preserve affordable housing, Kekuilani Gardens and Naniopuna, and 2, the establishment of a dwelling unit revolving fund budget for improvements to the Naniopuna affordable housing project located at Waikahiula Puna, Hawaii, PNK 315002-023.
Motion.
Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. Nani Upuna is a 32-unit multifamily project located in Pahua on the Big Island. It was completed in 1976 and renovated in 2005. The project is owned in fee simple by HHFDC, and we currently contract out the property management to Hawaii Affordable Properties. The project is financed with a USDA Section 514 mortgage loan. The principal balance is about $100,000. The loan has an annual interest rate of 1%, and it matures in 2027. This is a loan program for farm labor housing. Along with the mortgage loan comes a Section 521 rental subsidy agreement for the project. It's a project-based subsidy, and it covers the difference between 30% of a tenant's monthly income and the monthly rental rate. So it works a lot like the federal Section 8 program. In July of 2012, HHFDC issued a request for proposals, essentially to sell long-term leasehold interests in Nani Upuna and also a 56-unit affordable rental housing project that we owned in Kapolei on Oahu. We received 2 proposals by the October 2012 RFP response deadline. We received best and final offers from both parties, and in April 2013, this board approved staff's recommendation to make the RFP award to Vidas Group. Along with the Nani Upuna project, Kikuilani Gardens was also financed by a USDA mortgage loan. And so the transfer of these projects was subject to USDA review and approval. The buyer planned to finance the acquisition and rehab of Kikuilani Gardens through the sale of low-income housing tax credits and the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. And you'll see in the table, in the middle of page 2, how Vidas Group structured its offer. Essentially, they were willing to pay $9.5 million to acquire Kikuilani Gardens, pay off the USDA mortgage loan, pay off a rental housing revolving fund loan, and from that, we would also repay a DERF advance that HHFDC made to the project. And we anticipated netting $3.7 million from the sale of Kikuilani Gardens. And the buyer had proposed to essentially take a little over $2 million of that net sale proceeds and funnel it into a construction reserve for the renovation of Nani Upuna. Essentially, the buyer had proposed to acquire Nani Upuna for the balance of the mortgage loan debt plus a nominal amount over that. And then in June 2014, the first recent lava flow happened. The lava flow was traveling towards Pahua town, and that caused property insurance to become unavailable in the marketplace. In February of 2015, the board approved a modified transaction structure where we agreed to essentially bifurcate the closing of Kikuilani Gardens and Nani Upuna because of the lava flow event. That for action is attached as Exhibit B. That summer, USDA determined the appraised value of Kikuilani Gardens, and it was substantially lower than the agreed upon sales price between the parties, $3.275 million versus the $9.5 million that was in the buyer's RFP proposal. And that is just due to appraisal requirements that Federal Home Loan Bank had. we did continue to work with USDA to figure out, how to sell Kikuilani Gardens and make up some of the purchase price that we lost. USDA eventually agreed to allow HHFDC to take an equity payment from the sale in the amount of $500,000. Again, we hadn't previously anticipated netting $3.7 million just from the Kikuilani Garden sale. In March of 2016, the board approved the following modifications to the RFP award. The first was a reduction in the sales price for Kikuilani Gardens to the appraised value. And then the board also authorized the entry into a letter of intent with a Vitus Group subsidiary to exclusively negotiate the purchase and sale of Nani Apuna. The original LOI expired, or was set to expire in May 2016. We continued extending the LOI expiration date while the buyer pursued its financing plan. Again, because of the reduced sales price of Kikuilani Gardens, we could no longer fund the Nani Apuna renovation escrow from those proceeds. And the sale of Kikuilani Gardens closed in June 2016. In December 2014, Makanima Eva, who had been working on both projects in her capacity of director of Vitus Group's Honolulu office, left that firm to form her own affordable housing development company called AHE Group. It was under this umbrella that she continued to pursue financing sources for the acquisition and rehab of the Nani Apuna project while waiting for property insurance to become available in the marketplace again. Again, we extended the Nani Apuna purchase and sale LOI several times while AHE Group and its partner, Affordable Housing and Economic Development Foundation, or AHED, explored financing options and grant opportunities. There's information on the two partners attached as Exhibit C to your for action, information on AHE Group, and then information on AHED, which is a nonprofit corporation, also in the affordable housing space, is attached as Exhibit D. The two partners have worked together on 7 previous affordable housing projects in Hawaii. And the organizational chart for their purchase structure is attached to Exhibit E to your for action. In June of this year, we received a RFP award modification request from Nani Apuna LP, which is the entity or the vehicle through which AHE and AHED proposed to acquire Nani Apuna. And that letter request asked for the following. The first is to establish a $2 million construction reserve to be funded by the Dwelling Unit Revolving Fund, or DURF. Again, these are funds that we had originally agreed to make available to the developer from the sale of Kikuilani Gardens, which never materialized. The second request was for HHFDC to fund at the closing an underfunded USDA replacement reserve account. And the third request is for HHFDC to approve the RFP awardee from Vitus Group to Nani Apuna LP, which again is the acquiring partners vehicle to own the property. The sources and uses for the proposed acquisition and rehab are shown in the middle of page 4. The buyer intends to take out a $1.4 million senior loan from First Hawaiian Bank. They propose to restructure the existing USDA loan and extend it. They're asking again that we fund the $2 million construction escrow, and AHED will invest $850,000 of equity. HED's equity is coming from two grants that the buying partnership was successful in securing. The first is a $750,000 Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program grant. And the second is another $100,000 that's coming from the local, frankly, lobbying outfit of the National Association of Real Estate Investment Trusts, the REIT Giving Program. The uses are laid out at the bottom of page 4. Again, the buyer is just proposing to acquire, to pay basically the existing mortgage loan amount, $100 premium for the buildings, and then $75 for the 75-year ground lease term. They're looking at a construction budget of about $2.4 million. There's additional detail on the renovation program included in Exhibit F to the for action, which is the buyer's RFP award modification request. So our take on this is regarding the construction reserve that HHFDC should fund that $2 million reserve. You know, we had previously agreed to do it. It's just that the funds are coming from an alternative source. They're not coming from the Kikuilani Garden sale proceeds. They'll come from DERF. Regarding the, before I get to that, frankly, if we chose to retain the property and had to renovate this ourselves, the funds would come from DERF anyway. Should the board approve that escrow, or that funding, it will be held in escrow by First Hawaiian Bank, and we'll structure the appropriate controls over disbursement of those funds. Regarding the second request from the buyer, the USDA loan replacement reserve top up, Frank, again, we're just being asked to do what we had already agreed to. We've been funding the reserve account and not drawing on it continuously since the RFP award, and we're only short about $5,000 today. And the third request from the buyer regarding the change in the RFP awardee from Vitus Group to Nani Akuna LP. Frankly, I don't think we need a board approval to do that, but in the interest of transparency, we're asking that the board approve that change. AHE and AHED have worked continuously over the past 7 years, chasing financing and grant opportunities for the project. That included LIHTC application for home funding, housing trust fund funding, and they actually applied for the Federal Home Loan Bank twice and were successful on the second time. We do have a letter or an agreement between Vitus Group and Nani Akuna LP consenting to that change in the awardee. That's attached as Exhibit G. Staff's recommendation then is that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following. A, the modifications to the RFP award that I just described. B, the establishment of a dwelling unit revolving fund budget for renovations to the Nani Akuna project, subject to the availability of DERF funds and the release of those funds by the governor. And C, to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate purposes of this for action. That will include, but not be limited to, the negotiation and execution of the purchase and sale agreement, a ground lease, and other related transaction documents, each substantially on the terms described herein, and allowing for modifications as may be deemed reasonable in the executive director's sole and absolute discretion, and to undertake any actions related thereto. I believe we have in this virtual meeting Makani Maeva, available to answer any questions that you may have regarding the project. And also Monica Rossin from their partner, Ahead Foundation, should be online.
Aloha.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Anybody have any questions? No? All right. Anyone else want to make a comment? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Moving on to 3. Do we want to go into the executive session for this? For 3F? Okay, well, I'll just read it. So 3F is the approve proposed chapter 15-304 administration of federal programs, Hawaii administrative rules to govern the corporation's administration as the state of Hawaii grantee for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Home Investment Partnerships Program, the Housing Trust Fund Program, and other non-competitive grant programs. Can I get a motion?
Rona, so moved.
Thanks, Rona. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mel. Okay. Morning.
Good morning, Chair, and to the rest of the directors. HHFDC is the state's grantee for 2 federal formula grant programs, the Home Investment Partnerships Program and the Housing Trust Fund Program. As such, HHFDC is responsible for allocating home program funds among the counties of Hawaii, Kauai, and Maui, and for allocating the Housing Trust Fund Program funds among all of the counties, including the city. We are also responsible for ensuring that grant funds are used in compliance with all HUD grant conditions. Section 201H16 Hawaii Revised Statutes authorizes HHFDC to participate in federal programs like HOME and the Housing Trust Fund, but it also requires HHFDC to adopt administrative rules. So that is why we're here before you today. The proposed rules, which would be Chapter 15-304, Hawaii Administrative Rules, which are Exhibit A to this for action, states how HHFDC administers the home and the Housing Trust Fund programs. It documents the practices that we have adopted in administering these programs, which generally has been to closely follow the federal regulations for each program. In drafting these rules, we did circulate them to the county housing agencies prior to the meeting for their comment and input. And we have incorporated many of their comments in the draft before you. So following board action today, the next steps in the rulemaking process are listed in the for action. I can list them out if you'd like. At any point it becomes necessary to make substantive amendments to the draft, staff will return to the board for further discussion and approvals. That said, the recommendation is that the board approve proposed Chapter 15-304, subject to approval as to form by HHFDC's Deputy Attorney General and the Governor's approval, and authorize the Executive Director or designated representative to conduct a public hearing on the adoption of Chapter 15-304, authorize the Executive Director to make any necessary non-substantive amendments to proposed Chapter 15-304 Hawaii Administrative Rules following the public hearing, and subsequent to the public hearing, authorize the Executive Director to transmit proposed Chapter 15-304 Hawaii Administrative Rules to the Governor for final approval if no additional substantive amendments are required. And I would note that the Deputy Attorney General has approved the draft as to form as of last week, Friday. Glory Inafuku and Tori Kawahara, the Home and Housing Trust Fund Program staff, are here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks. Does anyone have any questions? No? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. Motion carried. So I guess we move on to item 4. Anything from Denise? Anything?
One quick thing, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Lee. I just wanted to provide an update on the rent relief and housing assistance program to the board. We just executed a contract the other day. This is a $100 million rent and housing assistance program. The bill was signed into law, I think, at the end of July. 2 weeks later, we have an executed contract thanks to the hard work of Janice and her team, for which the work actually started 1 month ago. So thanks to the coordinated efforts here and also with the help of BNF and DAGS, we were able to get to encumbrance, and we're working towards actually getting the money out to the intermediaries who are Catholic Charities Hawaii and Aloha United Way so that they can begin to implement. They will be working with a handful of nonprofits throughout the state, and also with the credit unions throughout the state. So dire need for rent with the plus up checks stopping end of July, eviction moratorium by the state scheduled to end this month, and no real word yet on extension of UI. So we are very happy and pleased that we are at this point, and looking forward to serving the community in that respect. You have my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thanks.
This is Gary. I have a question, Chair. So, in administering this program, is it through the contracting with Catholic Charities and Aloha United Way that substantially most of the work will be done through those nonprofits?
The program itself is going to be administered by them. A substantial amount of work is also going to be done by this office in terms of coordinating, monitoring. Just to stand up the program involves a lot of coordinated effort from HHFDC. Especially right now, it's going to be standing up the community database. So Mark Robito has been coordinating and continues to coordinate and help assist with training just to get the software. The software is required because the regulations require that we avoid duplication in benefits, and do everything we can to avoid fraud. So it is a lot of work. There will be monitoring, reporting involves. I think we passed the deadline for the initial report already that was due to the legislature, and I believe that was consolidated through DBED, but it comes with significant reporting obligations to the legislature and the administration.
Okay, so in evaluating the, I guess, the workload internally for administering this project, have you been talking about adding staff, and is there funding available through this appropriation for that to help out with the additional workload?
So the difficulty with these CARES funds is it's a short fuse. So the funds are good only until December. It would be difficult to hire additional staff to train on board and then release them for the short period. So the staff, we're operating this with the current staffing, and everyone has just been putting in a lot of extra effort and also putting other workloads on the side in order to shift and help respond to COVID. I'm sorry, impacts of COVID.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me just say in that regard, thank you very much for all the work you've done and for all the other staff members who are absorbing the additional work. That's tremendous on everyone's part.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen. Director.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. And I would echo that sentiment too. I mean, it is a lot of extra work, and you're right. We cannot staff up for it because by the time they learn, a new person learned the job, program would be over. But,
exactly.
Yeah, so, but thank you for that.
For your support.
Anybody else have any questions? Oh, okay. Is that did we have anything else to cover? I think that's it, right?
One thing as board members, if you folks can help promote this program, we're going to take about 3 weeks for the intermediaries to build their capacities, but anything you folks can do to help promote the programs, direct it to Catholic Charities or Aloha United Way. It's an awful lot of money. This is first tranche is $50 million. The city and county of Honolulu has $25 million. Of the 25, since they launched the program in May, they've only dispersed a little over $1 million. So whatever help we can get and support we can get in getting the word out would be appreciated. Thank you.
Denise, is there any information written or something that we could use to start talking about it? Is that through Aloha United Way or Catholic Charities that we would get?
So thank you for the question. So we're working with Anthology. They are compiling some information. Right now we have a posting to our website that gives some very, very general information. And we hope in the next couple of weeks, we will have a toolkit, a media toolkit, so that we can share with you. I don't know, Kent, do you have anything you want to add?
Can you hear me? Yeah, so as we progress, as we get the toolkit, we can distribute it to the board, which we're hoping to get within a week or so.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, is there a penalty for not getting all the money out besides having to return it? Yeah, that is a lot. Having been on the other side of distribution, that's a huge amount of money.
I think that the big penalty is the community doesn't get served, and Hawaii loses that resource.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Denise, the realtors had a seminar on this thing, not true, with the AUW or Catholic Charities a week or so ago. You might want to follow up with Ken Hiraki.
The realtors?
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you. Catholic Charities is working with the Realtors Association and property managers because they have properties. So they told me they've been in touch.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you coming up with anything, an update or anything?
An update for?
Whatever they presented last week or whatever.
I think as they have to build capacity, they don't want to give out any more information until they are ready. Because once they put the word out, the applications start to pile in. Yeah. And they don't want the reaction that the city initially had because they went out and announced before the nonprofits were ready, and there was a lot of disappointment by applicants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So thank you. They plan to also reach out to certain sectors, the restaurant associations, the retail merchants association. So there are target sectors, hotel association. They are partnering with Local 5, from what I understand. The Anthology will have a strategic plan for outreach. That's all I have. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Yeah. I guess if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We are adjourned.